Television Network in Port Harcourt. This is ATN International News. Morocco plans $1.5 billion expansion of Casablanca Airport's key sacks Upper Nile governor. France, scientists denied entry into the U.S. Trump to dismantle U.S. Department of Education. South Korea agrees with U.S. to resolve country status. Meloni torn between Trump and European allegiance. Welcome back. Leader of Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in eastern Congo said on Thursday that a call by Kinshasa and Kigali for an immediate ceasefire doesn't concern us, as his forces push deeper into Congolese territory by capturing the strategic town of Walikale. Walikale is the farthest west, and rebels have reached an advance that had already overrun eastern Congo's two largest cities since January. The town of 15,000 people fell after fighting on Wednesday between the rebels and the army and allied militants, an army spokesperson and local residents said. The conflict, rooted in the fallout for Rwanda's 1994 genocide and competition for mineral riches, is eastern Congo's worst since 1998 to 2003 war that drew in multiple neighboring countries and resulted in millions of deaths. With troops from Congo, Rwanda and Burundi having all participated in fighting this year, a conflict that has simmered for years is evolving into a wider regional war, experts say. Walikale is in an area rich in minerals, including tin and lies, along a road that links four eastern Congo provinces. Its capture puts the rebels within 400 kilometers, which is about 250 miles, of Kisangani, which is the country's fourth biggest city and has a bustling port at a Congo River's farthest navigable point upstream of the capital, Kinshasa. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame has called on Tuesday for an immediate ceasefire after a surprise meeting in Qatar's capital, Doha, their first direct talk this year. The leader of the M23 alliance dismissed the appeal and said his forces were not fighting at Rwanda's behest. Former Credit Suisse Chief Executive Tidjane Thiam has been relieved of his French citizenship, according to the French government's Gazette, potentially clearing the way for his bid for the presidency of world-leading cocoa producer Ivory Coast. Elected leader of the opposition PDCI party in 2023, Thiam is expected to be a leading contender in the October election, though 83-year-old incumbent Alassane Ouattara has yet to say whether he will run again. Ivory Coast has emerged from over a decade of civil war in the early 2000s to reclaim its spot as a West African powerhouse with one of the continent's fastest growing economies. Thiam announced his presidential bid last month. Ivory Coast law, however, states that candidates must be Ivorian citizens and cannot hold another nationality. A decision published in France's official journal on Thursday stated that Thiam had been released from his allegiance to France following his request to surrender his French passport. Thiam, 62, served as a minister in Ivory Coast until the ouster of former President Henry Konan Bedin in a 1999 military coup. He then left the country, working for consultancy firm McKinsey and issuers Aviva and Prudential before his 2015 appointment as CEO of Credit Suisse, where he was ousted 5 years later. Despite Thursday's announcements regarding his citizenship, challenges to Thailand political ambitions remain. A court in the commercial capital Abidjan on Thursday began hearing its case brought by the former PDCI official contesting his party leadership. Court documents seen by Reuters argued his election as party president was void because he'd held French nationality at the time. The case was adjourned until April. Morocco plans to invest 15 billion dirhams, which is about $1.55 billion, to build a new terminal at its largest airport, Casablanca, to triple passenger numbers by the time Morocco co-hosts the 2030 Soccer World Cup, its airport authority said on Thursday. The new terminal will serve as an African hub and will be connected to a high-speed train network that will link Kenitra to Marrakesh Airport Authority (ONDA) said in a statement. The train network is a separate project that has already been announced. Casablanca Airport expansion is part of a push to double Morocco's overall airport capacity to 78 million to meet increasing traffic in the run-up to the World Cup, which Morocco will co-host with Spain and Portugal. Casablanca Airport will be able to handle 35 million passengers by 2029, up from 10.5 million currently, ONDA said. Morocco reported a record of 17.4 visitors last year, up 20% on the previous year, and it expects to attract 26 million tourists in 2030. Moroccan airline RAM also plans to quadruple its fleet to 200 by 2037. Ethiopia's prime minister says his country will not seek conflict with longtime rival Eritrea over access to the Red Sea amid recent fears about possible war between the neighbors. Ethiopia does not have any intention of engaging in conflict with Eritrea for the purpose of gaining access to the sea, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said on Thursday, according to a post by his office on X. Although access to the Red Sea was an essential matter for landlocked Ethiopia, Abiy's government wanted to address it peacefully via dialogue, he added. Fears of war emerged in recent weeks after Eritrea ordered a nationwide military mobilization, according to a human rights group, and Ethiopia deployed troops towards the border. Diplomatic sources and officials told the Reuters news agency. Abiy's ambition to gain access to the Red Sea have angered Eritrea, which has accused it of eyeing the port of Assab. In a post on X, Yemen urged the international community to pressure Ethiopia to respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of its neighbors. He also described Eritrea's alleged preparation for war against Ethiopia as false accusations. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has sacked the governor of northeastern Upper Nile state, where clashes have escalated between government troops and an ethnic militia he accuses of allying with his rival and first Vice President Riek Machar. The latest development compounds a confrontation between the two men that started after the White Army militia forced government troops to withdraw from the flashpoint town of Nisir near the Ethiopian border. In response, Kiir's government detained several officials from Machar's party, including the petroleum minister and the deputy head of the army. The Mountain TV late on Wednesday, Kiir sacked Upper Nile Governor James Odhok Oya, who is from SPLM OIO, and replaced him with James Koag Chol, a lieutenant general who hails from Nasir. Oya's sacking prompted anger from SPLM IO, which has already partially pulled out of the 2018 peace agreement in protest over the arrest. The removal of Oya constituents another unilateral action and a severe violation of the revitalized peace agreements, Macca's spokesperson Puke Both Balung said in a statement referring to the 2018 pact. Information Minister Michael Mukir in turn accused Macca's party of jeopardizing the peace deal and told reporters that Oya was country. The RSF quickly took the palace and most of the capital at the outbreak of war in April 2023, but the Sudanese armed forces have in recent months staged a comeback and in Duman as well as Western Sudan, where it is fighting to take control of the army's last stronghold, East-West Territorial Division of the country between the two forces. Both sides have vowed to continue fighting for the remainder of the country, and no efforts at peace talks have materialized. The war erupted amid a power struggle between Sudan's army and the RSF ahead of a planned transition to civilian rule. Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday that instructs the U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon to start dismantling the Department of Education, seemingly attempting to circumvent the need to obtain congressional approval to formally close a federal department. The administration may eventually pursue an effort to get Congress to shut down the agency, Trump said at a signing ceremony at the White House on Thursday. Because its budget had more than doubled in size in recent years, but national test scores had not improved. The federal government does not mandate curriculum in schools. That has been in the responsibility of states. Trump repeated his campaign promise to send education back to the states. The executive order targeting the education department, which has been expected for weeks, directed McMahon to take all necessary steps to shut down key functionalities. Trump added that the signing ceremony that he hoped McMahon would be the last education secretary. University of California, Los Angeles was sued on Thursday over a 2024 mob attack on pro-Palestinian protesters at the height of the U.S. campus protest movement against Israel's war in Gaza, a court filing showed. In one of the most violent incidents from U.S. protests related to the Israel-Gaza war, mass assailants described by officials as instigators stormed the tent camp of pro-Palestinian denial by officials had falsely alleged fraud in his defeat in a House race. Prosecutors had accused him of hiring gunmen for a shooting spur at the homes of the Democratic officials after he visited them to dispute his 2022 election defeat. Two men who said they were hired by Pena for the attacks pleaded guilty. Protest of President Javier Millei's economic austerity measures and reforms. Milei have overseen a dramatic reduction in Argentina's sky-high inflation, but unions say his cuts also had not alerted federal officials, he said. The discovery of mass graves is not uncommon in Mexico, but the possibility that the ranch was a systematic examination camp has caused a deep sense of horror. Panama's President Jose Paul Mulino said on Thursday that he didn't place any value on reports the U.S. military is looking into options for ensuring full U.S. access to the Panama Canal, since those reports came from unnamed sources. If no one puts their name to such an assertion, I don't ascribe any value to it, he told a press conference. Two U.S. officials speaking anonymously told Reuters last week involvement in trans-Pacific shipping and would travel to Houston, Texas at the end of May, where he would meet with the important players in the shipping business. Colombian President Gustavo Petro next Friday to discuss the shared border. 5 opposition parties submitted a motion to impeach acting justice at the Constitutional Court. Lawmakers from the main opposition Democratic Party and 4 minor parties submitted the impeachment motion at the National Assembly at 2 p.m. Despite an unanimous ruling by the Constitutional Court Justice, Chow has not followed the ruling yet. Though 3 weeks have already passed, Kim Young-min, the DP's deputy floor leader for policy, told reporters. South-central Indonesia erupted 3 times into Friday, sending an ash column 8,000 meters, which is about 200,000 feet high, and prompting authorities to expand the danger zone around the volcano. And more mirror. 2 cities about 50 kilometers, about 31 miles, to 85 kilometers from the volcano. The eruption was recorded. There were other 2 eruptions, and smaller activity occurred during the day Friday. Smoke blew around the crater with weak to moderate pressure, and firelight was seen at the peak, indicating the glowing volcano material was at a shallow depth. Authorities raised the eruption alert to the evacuation was ordered. Ukraine's military quoting media reported a strike earlier on Friday on a recently closed gas pumping and measuring station in western Russia's Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces have been under pressure 7 months after a cross-border incursion. A Ukrainian military telegram channel posted a picture of a fireball raising skyward with the caption, "Media are reporting a successful strike on the Sudza gas transport system through which the enemy used to transport gas to Europe." There was no official word on the incident from government officials in Kyiv. Authorities in Moscow also did not report the incident. The station at Sudza was the only point through which Russian gas had passed on its way through Ukraine and on the Europe until Ukrainian declared the point was closed in 2022. Ukrainian media also reported the strike and posted video footage of the blaze, as did telegram channels in the Kursk region. Unofficial Russian military blogs said they believe Ukrainian forces had staged the attack. The Baza telegram channel, close to the Russian security services, said the pipeline had been damaged. South Korea and the United States have agreed to work together to swiftly resolve any fallout from the U.S. Department of Energy's designation of South Korea as a sensitive country, the industry ministry in Seoul said on Friday. The DOE has not explained why it puts its Asian ally on the watch list, which also includes China. Iran has faced criticism for apparently only recently becoming aware of the move that was carried out in January. South Korea's industry minister Ah Duk-jeon is visiting Washington, D.C. for the 2nd time in a month, as concerns also mount over U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on a swath of trading pair also discussed cooperation in the energy field, it said in a statement. Joseph Yoon, the acting U.S. ambassador in Seoul, said on Thursday that South Korea was added on the list because visitors to the DO's labs mishandled sensitive its leader Kim Jong-un, after North Korea recently reportedly sent additional troops to Russia to support its war against Ukraine. A brief dispatch by Russia's state-run news agency TASS supported that Sergei Shoigu, Russian Security Council Secretary, had arrived in Pyongyang, the North Korean capital, and plans to meet top North Korean officials, including Kim. It gave no further details, including what Shoigu would discuss with Kim. North Korea's Civilian Affairs. Rights groups have criticized moves to boost military involvement in public affairs because they fear it could lead to abuse of power, human rights violations, and political impunity for army personnel. Protesters from several democracy groups have said they will stage demonstration in Jakarta, Indonesia's capital. On Wednesday evening, a handful of students camped at the back gates of the paramilitary building to protest against the law. They were later dismissed. President Subianto, who took office last October and was a special forces commander under Suharto, has been expanding the armed forces role